Welcome back to the deep dive, where we really get into the topics you're curious about.
That's the goal.
Today, we're tackling something from the world of electricity that, yeah, might sound a bit complex. Inductance and the inductor.
Right, the component itself.
Next, and our mission here is really simple. Explain this stuff from a total beginner's point of view. We want you to walk away understanding it and maybe even seeing your tech a little differently.
Absolutely. And we're drawing on some great material designed specifically for folks just starting out with electricity. The idea is to connect electricity and magnetism in a way that, just makes sense.
Okay, let's dive in then. We all kind of know that when electricity flows through a wire, something happens. There's more going on than just the current itself, isn't there? Like an invisible effect around it.
That's exactly right. Whenever current flows, any current, it creates a magnetic field around that wire. It's fundamental.
Yep.
You might remember things like Biot-Savart's law or Ampere's right-hand rule. They basically tell you how strong that field is and which way it points. It's predictable.
Right, so there are rules for it. Now, what if we want to make that magnetic field, well, bigger, stronger? Is there a simple trick?
There is. And it's surprisingly simple, actually. You just coil the wire.
Coil it, like wrap it around.
Exactly. Instead of a straight path, you wrap it into loops many times. Think of it like this. Each loop creates its own little magnetic field. When you stack those loops tightly in a coil, all those little fields, they overlap and they add up. They reinforce each other.
Ah, so they work together.
Precisely. So it dramatically strengthens the overall magnetic field.
So let me see if I got this right from the source. If you have the same current flowing, but you wrap the wire, say, 5 times instead of just once, you get a magnetic field that's 5 times stronger, just like that.
That's it. It's a direct multiplication effect, essentially. And this amplified magnetic field, this magnetic influence, we call it magnetic flux.
Magnetic flux.
We use the symbol way, the Greek letter phi. So coiling the wire gives you multiple units of the delay.
Got it. So coiling is key to boosting the magnetic effect.
It's the fundamental step. It turns a simple wire into something much more magnetically potent, you could say.
Okay, that leads us nicely into this idea of inductance. You mentioned ability. Let's compare 2 coils, maybe, to really see what this ability means.
Good idea. Imagine 2 coils. They look identical, maybe both wrapped 5 times.
Okay.
And you run the exact same amount of current through both, let's say 1 ampere.
Right, same current, same turns. You'd expect the same result.
You might think so.
Yeah.
But let's say the coil on the left produces 1 Weber. That's the unit for magnetic flux, 1 Weber of flux.
Okay, 1 Weber.
But the coil on the right, with the same 1 ampere, produces 10 Webers.
Whoa, wait. 10 times more? From what looks like the same setup.
Exactly. 10 times the magnetic flux for the exact same current.
So the second coil is just way better at making a magnetic field somehow.
Precisely. It has a superior inductive ability, a greater capacity to convert that electrical energy into magnetic energy.
Ah.
And that fundamental ability, that inherent measure of how effectively a coil creates magnetic flux for a given current, that is what we call inductance.
Inductance. So the second coil has 10 times the inductance of the first one.
That's right. Its inductive ability is 10 times better. It's just more effective.
What's interesting is you said it's not just the number of turns, though, that matters. It sounds like inductance is something deeper, like an intrinsic property of the coil itself.
It absolutely is. It's a unique characteristic value for any given coil. It depends on its physical shape, the number of turns, of course, but also maybe what material is inside the coil, things like that. And this inductance, this property, it specifically relates to how much voltage gets induced when the magnetic field changes. It's tied into electromagnetic induction. So yeah, it's a fundamental characteristic, which leads to the question, how do we actually measure it?
Right. If it's a property, it must have a unit. How do we quantify this ability?
We use the symbol L to represent inductance, and the unit is the Henry with the symbol H.
L for inductance, H for Henry. Got it.
Named after Joseph Henry, an American scientist. So you might see specs like 1H or 2H.
But 1 Henry? That sounds kind of big, doesn't it? Compared to like 1 amp or 1... is a Henry a lot of inductance?
It often is, yeah. A 1 Henry inductor is actually quite significant in practical circuits, especially in everyday electronics.
Right.
You're much more likely to see values in millenries, that's mH, thousands of a Henry, or even microhenries, H, millions.
Ah, okay. So like 10 millirh or 200 millirh would be more typical.
Exactly. Those are much more common values you'd find inside your phone or computer.
Okay, so we've got the property, the ability that's inductance measured in Henry's H, symbol L. What about
Yeah.
the actual thing, the component, the coil itself?
That's the inductor. Simple as that. The inductor is the component, is the coiled wire designed specifically to exhibit inductance.
So the inductor has inductance.
Exactly. It's designed to create that magnetic field when current flows.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, there's another effect called self-induction.
Self-induction.
Yeah. When the current flowing through the inductor changes, like if you try to increase or decrease the magnetic field, it creates also changes.
Okay.
And that changing magnetic field induces a voltage back into the inductor itself. And this induced voltage actually opposes the original change in current.
Wow, so it fights back against changes in current.
In a way, yes. It resists changes in current flow. That's a key function.
Yeah.
So the inductor transforms current into a magnetic field, and it also acts to stabilize the current flowing through it, sort of smooths things out.
Okay, so inductor is the part, inductance is its ability, kind of like its resistance to current change.
Got it.
Property versus component.
You've got it. That distinction is really helpful.
Now, you listening might be thinking, okay, coils, magnetic fields. This sounds pretty technical. Is this just for engineers? But, and this is the cool part, these inductors, they are everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. While they are professional components, you'd be amazed how many everyday things rely heavily on them.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, think about basic electromagnets. Lifting scrap metal or maybe the lock on a security door. That's an inductor at its core.
Right. Makes sense.
Then there are speakers. How does electrical signal become sound? An inductor is key, moving the speaker cone back and forth.
Huh. I never thought about that.
Relays, too. Those little clicky boxes that let a small current switch a much bigger one. Inductors. And, of course, motors. Anything that spins using electricity.
Blenders, fans, electric cars.
All full of inductors turning electrical energy into motion. Also solenoids, those things that push or pull a metal rod, like in car door locks or fuel injectors. All based on inductive coils.
Okay, so they're in a lot of mechanical, electrical things. What about pure electronics? Where else are they hiding?
Oh, they're critical there, too. Power supplies are a huge one. Almost every electronic device you plug in, your phone charger, laptop brick, TV. Inside, inductors are working hard to smooth out the electricity, convert voltages, and filter out noise. They act like little energy reservoirs, ensuring the sensitive chips get stable power.
So they're like power conditioners.
In a sense, yes, especially in what we call DC-DC converters. These circuits use inductors to efficiently change one DC voltage level to another. Super common.
Okay.
And beyond power, they're fundamental in building electrical filters. If you want to block certain frequencies or let others pass, like tuning a radio or cleaning up an audio signal inductors are often part of the solution, usually paired with capacitors.
Filters.
And finally, oscillators, circuits that generate repeating signals, the heartbeat of digital electronics and radio transmitters. Inductors are often key components there, too, helping to set the frequency. They really are unsung heroes.
Wow. So, okay, wrapping this up. What's the big takeaway for someone listening? Why should they care about inductance?
Well, I think understanding even just the basics, what we've talked about today, gives you a whole new appreciation for the clever engineering packed into everything around you.
It's not just magic, it's physics and components working together.
Exactly. It's not just abstract theory. It's the real principle behind why so much of our modern world works.
So next time you hear a speaker or use a charger.
Yeah, or feel a motor vibrate or hear that click of a relay, remember the inductor, that simple coil of wire, quietly managing energy, creating fields, resisting change. It makes you think, doesn't it? How many other invisible fundamental principles like this are just quietly shaping your whole day, your whole experience, without you even noticing?
That's a great thought to end on. Keep that curiosity going.
Definitely. The world's full of these hidden layers if you look.
Well, that's it for this deep dive. We hope you feel a bit more clued in and maybe, a lot more curious. Thanks for joining us.